Technics SA-350 VLF Obsession Part 2. Okay, as we were saying in Part 1, which was incorrect, the IC in the middle of the board is actually not U2, it's U1. Sections 1 and 2 are both VLF amplifiers. And in this one, Section 1 is the variable gain amp. Section 2 is the times 100 amplifier. We don't have a speaker amplifier in this one for the simple reason that there's a 50 watt plus 50 watt RMS power amplifier in the host receiver. Therefore, there's no need for a 1 watt amplifier in the board. Try to go through this pretty quickly so we don't run out. This is take 3. Takes 1 and 2 of this Part 2 section were both disasters. Had incorrect audio connections and had no sound on both of them. Okay. Instead of the U2 output IC or audio IC, we're using an isolation transformer. We have the chassis of the receiver and the chassis of the computer, which would be plugged into the 1/8 inch stereo jack. They're isolated for low frequency AC. There's a 0.1 microfarad capacitor that goes between the two grounds for RF path, and then there's a 100K across that capacitor being used as a static bleed off. We already discussed the loop loading control, so there's no need to do that. The input jack is a standard 1/4 inch, or let's see, I think they call it 7mm TRS jack. Sleeve being grounded, tip and ring being balanced input and output connections. One of the custom modifications on this board is the peak indicator, the peak LED indicator driver circuit, and in this particular case we have the standard 2SC945 for the sensing transistor, and instead of the PNP 2SA-733 we're now using an NPN 2SC945. We're using a pull-up resistor, and because this is negative logic now, it makes the LED blink off on the peaks. Have to use a pulse stretcher because of the persistence effect of the human eye. We can see a dark LED come on easier. That is a split-second blink of an LED going from dark to light. We can see that easily, but one that's already lit, it's difficult to see a short split-second blink to the off state. So I use a pulse stretcher. We'll go ahead and we'll run the tripod down, and over here we have to turn the video light off and get a good look at the LED. Okay, that loud tweak, these loud tweaks are giving a real good indication. I didn't even have to run the gain up on this take, so I'm being blessed. As you can see, the LED, it stays on to indicate the position of the gain control, which used to be the tuning control on the Monaural TV tuner. The filter, instead of using the standard 1.1 microfarad in the feedback circuit on both halves of the IC, I use 3.1s, and in the off position we have 3/10 of a microfarad. In the on position it reverts back to the single 0.1. So in the on position we have a turnover point of about 1500 hertz, and in the off position have a turnover about 500 hertz. Okay, we'll run the tripod back up. Turn our video light on so we can see. Okay. Over here in the power area, I'm using a CEE standard international power inlet. It's the same type of inlet that we use on personal computers. Instead of a direct ground to the chassis, I'm using a pair of 4-amp barrel diodes back to back, and what that allows me to do is to attain a safety ground without having a hard ground that would allow a ground loop. This grounding arrangement will accept a low frequency AC voltage difference of somewhere between 4 and 7/10 of a volt before the diodes conduct hard enough to have any appreciable current flow between the third pin and the chassis. And for RF bypassing and to assure an RF ground, we have a 0.1 microfarad capacitor across the diodes, and to prevent static problems like noises, pops, whatever from static discharges, there's also a 100K across the capacitor. So we have a network here that'll allow safety ground, and yet at the same time it won't provide a nuisance ground. It does break the ground path for any ground loop hum currents that could occur. And the receiver was originally equipped with an international 2-prong, the type connector used for business machines and double insulated equipment, but having an outdoor loop cable and an outdoor FM antenna connection necessitates the use of a ground for safety, because a nearby lightning strike could conceivably produce quite a bit of voltage on the ground or on the chassis of the unit without a ground. So okay, now we're showing the rear apron of the unit. Here we have a nice shot of the CEE international type power inlet connector. We'll go ahead and connect the power to it. Power switch is already on. Okay, now we show the VLF receiver connections and the new external FM 75 ohm F connector. Go ahead and plug the loop into it. Go ahead and plug the output cable into it. We'll be using it later. Okay, we've got a couple minutes left. We can demonstrate the loop loading. This unit will lose sensitivity and have severe hiss when I turn the loading resistance up. Watch this. It's actually destroying our ability to hear the signal by inadequately loading the loop. Overload the loop and of course you'll lose audio frequencies of interest. Bring it right in here to the optimum setting. There we go. You can set anywhere from under 10K, maybe not quite down to a single kilo ohm, but down to 3 or 4K before the control gets erratic. And that's pretty much it. You got to see the action of the loading control. 710 on the time. We're running well on this one. And that's pretty much it. This is going to be a really good receiver. It always sounded better than the JVC that I use. And the equipment rack will look better because I won't be using a separate VLF receiver anymore. And with the output for the computer is completely independent of any input selecting controls and any other controls on the receiver. So this unit can feed data to a computer while I'm using it for entertainment. And that's pretty much it. It's a nice receiver. It's an oldie, but it's a classic. And with the digital display, it still looks modern. And like I said before, it does sound much better than the JVC. So thank you for watching, y'all. Yeah, I'm truly obsessed with the VLF, but it's a world of fun. It's really been a blessing to me. Thank you for watching. God bless y'all, and goodbye.